Hey guys, what is up? This is Stephanie, aka the Limitless Babe, reminding you today and every day that you are limitless. So, as you can see, we've got a little bit of some Halloween decorations going on today, and this is the topic of today's video. Well, not Halloween necessarily, but holidays. So, yesterday was Halloween, and I'll show you guys. So, this is just a little piece of what I did in our home. I'll show you guys some pictures and videos so you can see, the full effect of all the decorations that I put together for the baby. But this year I did not have my daughter on Halloween, right? So Halloween is my favorite holiday. This was a tough one for me because I love everything about it. You know what I mean? I love the costumes. I love the trick or treating. I love watching scary movies. I love, putting up the decorations. I love going and looking at other people's decorations, the jack-o'-lantern blazes, all the things that are going on about this season and this time of year are just my absolute favorite. And when you're sharing your child with their other parents as a single parent, it kind of puts a little damper on it, right? I mean, and this is not just for Halloween. This is for Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, whatever your holiday schedule looks like. I'm sure that there's at least one or many holidays throughout the year that you do not have your children. So I've created my list of my 5 tips to get through the holidays that you don't have your kids and still make them extremely special. So before we even get started, I want to do some quick housekeeping. Please don't, I don't know why I stuttered with that. I want to do some quick housekeeping. Please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and that you've gone ahead and hit that bell for notifications so that you can get alerts for videos like this every week. So before we get started and jump right into those 5 tips that I have for you, I do want to make some quick points. And I think it's super important to remember that the holidays are about creating moments and memories. So don't worry so much about the technicalities. Don't worry about the calendar date. Don't worry about how much money you have to use. That's not what matters, especially the younger your kids are. All they care about is creating those moments and those memories. That's the stuff that's going to stick with them for the rest of their lives, right? Another thing that is super important to remember is, again, going along with creating those moments and memories, is that it's not about how much money you spend. It's about togetherness. You do not have to spend a lot of money to create magic. And I'm going to show you guys again, like I said, I'm going to show you some pictures and videos of what I did in our home. I bought everything off of Amazon for roughly $20. Everything all together, about $20. Now that's everything that was in my home and some things that were on my landing. I live in an apartment, so we have a little landing. Some of that stuff, granted, I did have already from the years, but again, if you're keeping your core decorations, you only have to add little pieces here and there. You don't need to spend a lot of money every year, and you can get stuff from Amazon. You can get stuff from Target. You can get stuff from the dollar store. You can borrow stuff from friends that they're not using, there's always a way to do something inexpensive. You can make your own decorations if you're crafty like that. You don't have to go crazy. So those are just the quick reminders that I want to make. And now let's dive into my 5 tips for making those off-year holidays special. Okay, so tip number 1 is, if you don't have your child on the actual calendar date of a holiday, just pick another day. Pick another day or days. It doesn't have to be just a one-day event. Call your family, call your friends, and tell them, listen, this year we're celebrating Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, on this day. So be at my house at this time, and that's it. You can also do what I did this year for my daughter, where, again, because Halloween is my favorite holiday, and there's so many fun things that happen right around that time of year. I had planned to do one event every day from the day she came home from her father. So like on Thursday when she came home, all the way until Monday morning, I had one thing planned every day so that we could celebrate Halloween for 4 days. I was calling it Halloween Palooza. Now we'll get to this later, but it didn't go as planned. However, it was still amazing. And like I said, I'll talk about this when I get to one of my further points. Okay. So again, my first tip is just designate an alternate day or days. Nobody said that holidays had to be celebrated on the calendar dates. It's your house, it's your rules. And that means that you can celebrate things whenever you want. Tip number 2, except that's number 1. Tip number 2, create your own traditions. So obviously, there are some socially normalized traditions for each holiday, right? Like Thanksgiving, we all have our families get together. We have, turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, whatever the traditional meal is. Or if you have, different cultural background, you may want to do some other type of meal. Halloween, traditionally, kids go trick or treating. They wear their costumes. Christmas, we have Santa coming, and, we have, Christmas Eve celebrations. We have Christmas morning celebrations. Every holiday has its own types of traditions, correct? Again, going back to tip number 1, your house, your rules. You get to make new traditions or take those existing traditions and simply do them on your alternate days. It's that simple, guys. And let me just look at my notes really quick. So what can these traditions be? These traditions can be creating a special meal. So for example, and I'm going to use Halloween as my example for this entire video because this is just the one that's off the top of my head that just happened. For Halloween on Saturday morning, I made my daughter Halloween themed pancakes. So we had boo pancakes, we had spider web pancakes, which by the way, spider web pancakes are so easy to make, but a pain in the butt to flip. So I'm just warning you, don't get crazy with the details because when you go to flip it, you're going to realize, oh, I should have just gone thicker with the lines. Unless you're a pro, then good for you. So yeah, we had boo pancakes, spiderweb pancakes. I tried to make bats. They didn't come out great, but who cares? She's 2. She thought I was incredible just for trying, right? I made her name. So I made Grace out of pancakes. I made orange pancakes, green pancakes. Note to self and to other parents, my daughter did not even want to touch the green pancakes, which I get. Green food freaks me out too. I mean, unless it's a vegetable. Wondering if maybe that's what it was. The orange pancakes she devoured, but when I gave her a green one, she was kind of like, oh, I don't know. So maybe just be mindful when you use food coloring, what food colors you use and how your child reacts to certain colors on their plate. Okay. Events. So remember when I said before that you don't have to spend a lot of money on your holidays, right? If you don't have a lot of money like me, listen, right now, our funds are tight. Okay. I don't have a lot of extra finances to be extravagant, right? I don't know why I said that weird, extravagant, but I can still look up things and look up free events that are going on in the area, inexpensive events, get friends together to create events and still have an awesome holiday. So the internet is your best friend in this case. But again, like I said before, this is something that we will talk about in my next point. Decorations. Again, you can easily go on Amazon, Target, go to the dollar store, wherever, and get a bunch of balloons, fun decorations for whatever holiday you're celebrating. Anything. It doesn't have to be super fancy. It doesn't have to be crazy, just something different. I think it's the excitement of something that's not the norm that really makes our children's minds just go wild and gives them joy and excitement. So like one thing, yes, I decorated with balloons and like tassels and all kinds of fun things, right? But I know from Valentine's Day when I did this, that my daughter's favorite part was, I don't know if you guys, I don't know what they're technically called. I guess the fringe, those metallic fringes that you can hang from doorways. She loves those. Like when I put it up for Valentine's Day and for her birthday, all she wanted to do was run back and forth from it. And she just kept saying, this is my favorite game. This is my favorite game. So I did that again. I hung those up, but they come ridiculously long. So I cut off the excess and I just made a big pile of it in the living room. So I made a big messy pile of shiny fringe in my living room. And I have to tell you, that was actually her favorite part this year. So we spent, I don't even know how long, like I would say definitely at least like a few hours this weekend, just grabbing big piles of fringe together and throwing them up and letting them sprinkle and fall on us. And to see the excitement and the happiness that was on her face every time they were falling, like she would just look up and say, that's amazing. And it was the best feeling for me. And how much did those things realistically cost me? It was, I want to say like $12 for 4 of them, which they're each like, I think like 3.3 feet wide and then like 9 feet long. Right. So I was able to cut off a good chunk of that and just create that extra mess on the floor. But for $12, she was so happy. And it was so simple, right? I mean, I get it. Like as your kids get older, it's going to take different things to excite them. But if you've got little ones, that is a great, easy way to just make them so happy. Another fun one was I had the balloons with the confetti. Those I didn't hang. Those I just blew up and left on the floor so that she could shake them. And she was so excited to see that. So again, just decorating differently, not even extravagant, not crazy. If you don't have the means or the creativity, that's fine. But just doing something different is going to ignite in your kid's brain. Oh, this is special. This is something that I should pay attention to. This is not the norm. Activities, I suppose this kind of goes in with events, but not necessarily, because events more is outside of your home. That was horrible English. Events are more outside of your home, whereas activities can be outside or inside. For example, again, like I just said, an activity as simple as having fringe fights, where we just threw the fringe up in the air and just let it fall and played. And she would have me cover her feet with the fringe. And I said, where's Gracie's feet? And she would just kick her feet up and laugh. Like that was a simple activity. Also, Amazon has, and I'm sure Target, there's probably all over the place, but they make these kits, which I'll show you guys a picture of our pumpkin. They make these kits that it's like peel off foam pieces that you can create different pumpkin faces, which is so fun. Again, and especially if you have a little one that maybe isn't exactly able to finesse a carving knife or has difficulty with painting, straight lines and things. This is something that they still get to be creative and still have a really adorable final outcome. So I highly recommend these. Other activities that you can do. I have a great one actually. So a friend of mine, I'm going to see if I can get her to send me the video so that I can share it with you guys. During the pandemic, her husband put together like a little box on a table and had the kids dress up in their Halloween costumes, and they would pretend ring the house doorbell, and he would open the door and give them their candy. And it was just so cute. Like they still felt like they were trick-or-treating, even though they weren't able to. So something you can do, maybe have all your friends and family come over, have a little get together, have a party, and have them each stand on a different corner and be houses. And then let your kid dress up and go from house to house and trick or treat. Like you can find ways to make it fun. Okay. I think that's all I've got off the top of my head right now. If you have any awesome activities that you think parents would love, please feel free to share it in the comments below. Help another parent out. And most importantly, especially for a holiday like Halloween, although other holidays may not have this. No, I think you can do this for every holiday. I'm sorry. Costumes or special attire. Halloween is the easiest one because obviously kids are dressing up in full costume. Please don't let it just be your kids. Do it yourself too, okay? Let your inner child go wild. Let your kids see that it's okay to be silly, creative, and imaginative. And then if it's not Halloween, Christmas, wear your Christmas best. Whatever you decide to do, wear whatever your Christmas clothes would have been had you been celebrating on Christmas morning, on Christmas Eve, on whatever your new designated day is. Don't slack just because it's not the calendar day. Treat it as if it was the actual holiday. Easter, wear your Easter best. Maybe you're not going to church. Maybe you are going to church. Maybe you celebrate Easter on a different Sunday. Maybe you don't go to church. Maybe you don't celebrate like that. However you do, it's fine, but wear the clothes that you would have worn on the original holiday. If it's St. Patrick's Day, we don't technically have set clothes for St. Patrick's Day, but wear green. Get some silly glasses or necklaces or hats or whatever it is that you can for your kid. Let it just be fun and silly, but have, again, to the point of doing something different. When it's different, it stands out and your kids are going to remember it and they're going to appreciate it. And if you do it every year, it becomes a tradition. So again, recapping tip number 2, why do I keep saying 1? So again, recapping tip number 2, create your own traditions. Okay, I'll go back to my notes. Okay, tip number 3. And this kind of ties in with what we talked about in tip number 2 about creating traditions and looking up events. Do your homework. Do your research and go online, find any and all local events, different things. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily local. Even something within an hour's driving distance isn't too bad. I promise you, it sounds like it's a lot, but it's really not. And when you see the smile on your kid's face, it's totally worth it. So I would say go online and look up what are the happenings and events going on in the week before, the week after, whatever the day that you designate as your new holiday. Look up what events are happening. And by the way, a lot of them are free. So this Halloween, I didn't get to talk about this, but basically my initial plans were to go to one event each day, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that I had her before Halloween. Now, these plans did not work out as I had hoped because unfortunately my daughter had a cold. So she was still recovering from, a kind of heavier cough when she came home, and she was still very tired and groggy. And I just didn't really want her around large crowds yet. So for those days, I had to alter my plans and rein them in and keep it as stuff that we did at home or at, grandma and grandpa's house. But by the time she was feeling better, we were able to find free events. Like I was able to take her to a toddler turf event at a local gym where they had set up bounce houses and like the mats in like a obstacle course for the kids, and they had the basketball court open, and it was just a lot of fun, and all the kids came dressed in their costumes. So we were able to do that on Sunday. We also were able to go to a trunk or treat on that same day. So she still had these fun events. And by the way, guys, these were 100% free. Another event that I had planned to do, but we weren't able to, was to go to a local carnival. One of the neighboring towns had a Halloween like carnival or festival, and there was rides and balloons and like balloon animals and face painting and a DJ. And again, this was 100% free. So do your research. You'd be surprised what you find, but you'd also be surprised how hard it is to find because nobody talks about this stuff. For example, I didn't know that in my town, they celebrated Halloween the week before, and we totally missed it because I didn't know. So they had a whole parade and all these things. And at that point, she was still healthy and we could have gone. But, this is why you got to do your research and do your research early because you never know what towns are doing different celebrations in the weeks before versus the week of. Okay. So tip number 3 in recap is do your research. Tip number 4, be extra. Let your inner child run wild, okay? Your kids are only young for so little. Enjoy it to the fullest, okay? Don't be embarrassed. Don't worry about, is this too much? Is this too silly? Who cares? My mantra for the week, by the way, is just that. Who cares? Does it make you happy? Does it make your kid happy? Is it harming anyone else? Okay, great. So who cares? Live your best life. Be extra, go over the top. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money to go over the top. When I show you guys the pictures, you're going to say, wow, like she went a little extra. And again, it was under 20 bucks. Doesn't have to cost you a lot to let your inner child free and let your kids see that it's okay to have fun. So again, tip number 4, quick and simple, be extra. Tip number 5. Oh, this one is my favorite, and this is super important. Okay. So tip number 5 is take time off of work and give your kids your undivided attention. So if I had to say that shorter, I would simply say slow down and be present. Okay. Nothing is more valuable to your children than you giving them your undivided attention and love. So that means put the phone away, put the computer away. Don't worry about clients or whatever it is. Even if you can only do that for them for an hour a day or whatever the case is, I mean, I hope that you can give them more than that, at least one day. But if for whatever reason you're unable to, at least give them a little blocked out time of your undivided attention, because that is so special to them. That shows them that they matter. That shows that they are worthy of your time, that they are valuable creatures. And of course they are. They're valuable because they're human beings. They're valuable because they're here. They're valuable because they're kids. They're valuable for about 1,000,001 reasons that I could go on and on and on and on and on. So why not show them and let them feel it? Right? And that is something that you can do so effortlessly. It's just, we have to really think about it sometimes, especially in this day and age where we're so easily distracted by so many things, by technology, by work, especially after the pandemic. So many parents are working from home. So now home has lost the essence of feeling like home. It now feels like work. So sometimes we have to consciously shut off our work brain and go back to fun home brain. Okay. So that's my tip number 5. Again, that was slow down and be present. So I'm going to really quick recap the tips just so that you can write them down if you want, or just so you remember them. And then I just want to share my lessons that I learned through this week. So tip number 1, designate an alternate day or days to celebrate. Tip number 2, create your own traditions. Tip number 3, do your research. Tip number 4, be extra, let your inner child run wild. And tip number 5, slow down and be present. So I just want to really quickly share the lessons that I learned this week and my greatest takeaways. And I hope that you learn a little something from this too. But basically, my first big takeaway was that sometimes things don't go as planned. And sometimes that's better. In fact, almost always when things don't go as planned, and I've talked about this in another video when I talked about not to us, but for us. Sometimes we have this vision in our head of how things are going to go, and okay, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And sometimes the other person involved or our circumstances or surroundings simply do not cooperate and it doesn't work out. But does that mean that what we get as the end result is any less than? Absolutely not. Sometimes what we get in the end is actually unexpected blessings. So again, taking this example, I had events planned every day from Thursday through Sunday, and we were only realistically able to do 2 events crammed into one day. And, a piece of me could say, oh, but I'm so disappointed because I wanted to do this and this and this and this. Well, we had an incredible time. Like the fact that we were able to get hours and hours of fun out of throwing that fringe up in the air and just being silly at home together, like it was incredible. And even Saturday morning, I was hoping, well, let's see how she's feeling. I'm going to make her these pancakes and let's see if she's feeling up to it. Maybe I can take her somewhere today. And, all she wanted to do was snuggle on mommy's bed and watch Baby Shark Halloween. That was awesome. Like these are moments that I'm never going to get back. And I'm grateful for them. Even though they didn't look how I planned, we still were able to have a beautiful weekend and a memorable one at that. So I just want to really remind you to let go of the expectation and just be present and joyful in what is. Another big takeaway that I got was that sometimes we put the pressure on circumstances and even on our children for what our expectations are, right? So I kind of just talked about this, but think about how many times, like, go back into your childhood when you went to Aunt Sally's house for Thanksgiving and you go in to say hi to Aunt Sally and give her a big hug, but Aunt Sally's too busy cooking and she's so stressed out and she's snapping at Uncle Jerry and it's kind of chaos because she's got all this unnecessary pressure on herself, right? And nobody put it there but herself. So, whereas if she could just lean into it and accept the fact that maybe the mashed potatoes come out a little lumpy and maybe the cookies get burnt, and maybe that's okay because maybe she got to spend 5 minutes playing that board game with the rest of the family and well, she has that memory now for the rest of her life. You know, sometimes we get upset and angry about things that are nobody else's expectation, fault, whatever word you want to say, but our own. You know, take the pressure off of yourself and just remember what holidays are for. And it's to celebrate and create memories and enjoy your loved ones and to just relax. So, yes, create your traditions, put in the work to make things special. But if things don't go exactly as you planned, don't lash out at your family, lighten up, just lean into what is and accept that whatever's happening is for your greater good in the long run. Now, the third lesson that I learned, and this is something that I've always kind of known, but I was really able to appreciate it this time, is that you don't need a lot of money to make things special. You can use what you've got, be it your minimal financial resources, be it your creativity, be it your enthusiasm, be it your talents, whatever you have, you can use, and that's enough because you're enough. So don't, again, this all kind of, I guess, sums up into putting pressure on yourself. Take the pressure off of yourself and off of your loved ones and enjoy the resources that you have in the way that you can, in the way that everything unfolds, and just enjoy every minute. So, those are my 5 tips for you guys on how to make your off year holidays super special. I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please don't forget to give us a like, comment below, share it with someone else that you think could benefit. And as always, stay limitless. I love you guys. Bye.